Every single heartbeat affects our perception of the world. This is what researchers have found. While you're reading this, your heart is beating. It's pumping blood through your body, carrying vital oxygen and nutrients to help keep you alive. We're hardly aware of this restlessness, life-affirming pounding underneath our skin, even though it happens over 100,000 times every single day. While our heartbeat escapes our notice most of the time, though, that does not mean it has zero effect on our powers of attention. Quite the contrary. In fact, as researchers from the Max Planck Institute for Human Cognitive and Brain Science explain in a new study, MPI-CBS, they say even though humans are mostly not aware of their heartbeats, several heartbeat-related effects have been reported to influence conscious perception. Last year, some of the same team explored how fluctuations in heart activity can modulate our ability to consciously perceive external stimuli. In experiments, they found that volunteers were less likely to detect subtle electronic pulses during one phase of the heartbeat cycle called systole. During systole, or systole, systole in Greek, systole, the heart muscle contracts, pumping blood into the arteries. After this happens, diastole, diastole, meaning it opens up, the heart relaxes after contracting and the chambers fill up with blood once more. So it's systole and diastole. And what this showed from a scientific point of view, was that humans exhibit less somatosensory perception, the sensation of things throughout the body, during systole than during diastole. In other words, we seem to perceive things less at the moment that our heart clenches and pumps blood through the body. Directly after, though, when the heart relaxes before the next heartbeat, we can register sensation more clearly. Now, why does this happen? Arguably, it's possible humans adapt this trait so that we are not constantly disturbed by our own pulse. These repeated cardiac fluctuations are treated as predictable events and attenuated by the brain to minimize the likelihood of mistaking these self-generated signals as external stimuli. This is what research explains in their new paper. So put another way, over 100,000 times a day we feel things just a little bit less to prevent harassment from our own heartbeats. That's the why, hypothetical as it is. In the new research, the researchers wanted to explore how this strange phenomenon takes place. In an experiment, 37 volunteers received mild electronic stimuli delivered via electrode devices worn on their fingers. During the experiment, the participants had to indicate the moments when they thought they could detect the subtle shocks being administered. At the same time, electroencephalography, EEG, and electrocardiography, ECG, devices recorded electrical activity in the brain and heart to try to figure out how one might be affecting the other. The researchers explain conscious somatosensory perception is linked to an increased amplitude of certain markers called SEP, somatosensory evoked potential components, which are also associated with consciousness. One of these markers, known as P300, seems to be suppressed during systole, the contraction of the heart, which could be why physiologically speaking, perception seems to be reduced at the moment the heart pumps blood. The effect also seems to be stronger for people with a more stable heart rate, the results showed. The authors explained whether this later effect is related to a possibly more accurate temporal prediction of the next heartbeat or another physiological mechanism cannot be differentiated based on our data. Another factor called heartbeat evoked potentials, HEP, is also involved, representing markers of cardiac interoception, awareness of the heart. The more people were conscious of their heartbeat, the less they were aware of the electric zaps in the experiment. The most plausible explanation for our findings seems to be that a shift from external to internal attention, reflected by HEP amplitude increases, interferes with conscious perception of external somatosensory stimuli by decreasing the baseline firing rates within the somatosensory networks. There is a lot to unpack here, and a lot that remains unknown about how the heart can affect the pathways that underlie perception and consciousness, but we're getting closer to understanding them, it seems. And while presently it's not clear which of these pathways is most relevant for heart-brain interactions, Our results are consistent with the notion of the somatosensory cortex as an important relay center for cardiac input. How this relay center modulates the relationship between interoception and exteroception is an interesting topic for future research. The findings are reported in PNAS, and this is on Science Alert by Peter Dockrell. If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, you will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon, most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. And we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.